In the long haul, the issues encompassing space rock mining could take care of the issue of environmental change on Earth, which would influence each country. We could utilize new and better space innovations on our own planet. This has just occurred with other space advancements, GPS, for instance. Recall when we referenced before the parting of water into hydrogen and oxygen to create fuel? On the off chance that this procedure was utilized vigorously in space, more research cash would be put resources into it, the procedure would turn out to be progressively proficient, and expenses would be diminished. This would permit us to create hydrogen power module vehicles at a cost where they become standard. As not many countries marked the later 1979 Moon Agreement, nations are beginning to make their own laws to oversee how their residents can investigate and utilize assets in space. This is the thing that Donald Trump did with his official request on April 6, 2020. Be that as it may, Luxembourg had just taken things considerably further. Their July 20, 2017, Law on the Exploration and Use of Space Resources expresses that Luxembourg organizations, or European organizations with enlisted workplaces in Luxembourg, may take responsibility for separated space assets after the Luxembourg government approves them to do as such. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which was marked by the US, the UK, and the Soviet Union, incorporates the rule that space isn't dependent upon national assignment by guarantee of sway. The 1979 Moon Agreement, which manages exercises explicitly on the Moon and other divine bodies, has just 5 countries joined. They do exclude the US or Russia. The Outer Space Treaty goes on about countries being liable for non-governmental associations, yet we know as a matter of fact this isn't the situation. For instance, when they employ private security firms in combat areas, governments won't generally assume liability along these lines. The exemplary US versus Russia space race punch-up, much the same as the race to land a man on the Moon. The race is still to the Moon. This time, be that as it may, there is no socialism, only a lot of Putin. Russian space organization Roscosmos gave an announcement, saying to some extent, endeavors to dispossess space and forceful designs to really hold on to regions of different planets scarcely set the nations on course for productive collaboration. Kremlin representative Dmitry Peskov called it basically unsuitable. Space is one of only a handful, not many issues on which the two nations participate while at chances over the intrusion of Ukraine and allegations of Russian interfering in US decisions. Russia alludes to UN law when depicting space as a shared view for mankind. The De Beers Company once had an imposing business model on jewels that permitted them to control the market. It was an approach to keep costs high and see their benefits take off. Presently, suppose you brought $1 quintillion of jewels back to Earth. Flexibly would be a lot higher than request, and the estimation of precious stones would dive. McDonald's could part with them in Happy Meals and not lose cash. This is brilliant news for us shoppers. In any case, this isn't extraordinary for organizations and nations that intensely rely upon these materials for monetary achievement. The African landmass, which has 30% of the Earth's mineral assets, has tremendous ventures in cobalt, gold, and platinum. Separations in space are estimated in numbers that the human cerebrum can't generally fathom and put into point of view. They're enormous to the point that the separation to an item outside our nearby planetary group is processed in light years to keep it sensible. A light year quantifies how far light goes in 1 year, which is roughly 9.46 trillion kilometers, 5.88 trillion mi. Inside our close planetary system, separations are estimated in cosmic units, O. 1 O is the normal good ways from the Earth to the Sun, which is around 150 million kilometers, 93 million mi. That is a littler unit, yet at the same time difficult to understand. The space rocks hauled nearer to Earth would be handled in space, on the Moon, or on different planets. This would permit these assets to be refined before they were come back to Earth. All the more critically, they could be utilized to fabricate new states and continue existing ones. The enterprises encompassing space rock mining would make the primary lasting human populaces outside Earth. Rick Tumlinson, administrator of Deep Space Industries, summarizes it, we might be guests in space until we figure out how to live off the land there. Microgravity Foundry has grown rock-solid 3D printers that can work in zero gravity. These can be utilized to assemble specialized gadgets, sunlight-based board power stations, and, as more assets are collected, entire settlements. The gear and strategies that we have created to mine on Earth won't work when managing moving articles in a low-gravity condition. Contingent upon their piece, they are either extremely fragile or difficult to mine. The sensitive space rocks are known as C-type, carbonaceous chondrite, which have high water focuses. They could be mined with a multitude of bots with thorned feet. Once hooked, the bots would remove water and some other minerals and afterward come back to base. These space rocks are fragile to such an extent that the bots wouldn't have to penetrate yet just scratch along the surface. The space rocks that are difficult to mine are known as M-type, metallic. They present a greater test since they are basically hunks of strong flying metal. It might be less difficult to attractively drag them closer to Earth for preparing. It sounds odd, isn't that right? You're around enough uncommon metals to smash the Earth, yet the one that miners are generally anxious to discover is water. All things considered, water fuels life. Notwithstanding, they're not searching forever yet rather fuel. At the point when separated into its fundamental segments, water is hydrogen and oxygen. This partition can be accomplished through an electrical impetus with locally available or outside gear. When separated, the segments of water can be repurposed as electrical vitality to help gadgets, for example, life emotionally supportive networks and power modules. Whenever left as water, it very well may be an invigorating drink. NASA intends to set up stations in space. They would separate water from close-by sources, do the impetus procedure, and afterward siphon it to the docked create. Basically, they would be gas stations in space. We live in a universe of electronic devices, mass worldwide vehicle, and a developing populace that wants such things. Gold, platinum, nickel, iron, and so on, and it's most likely in your pocket or stopped in your carport at this moment. These assets are limited on Earth, and we're experiencing them quicker with each mechanical progression. In any case, similar assets are practically boundless in space. We should take the case of platinum. This metal is utilized in things, for example, cardiovascular pacemakers, and as an impetus for transforming raw petroleum into something we can use in fuel and assembling. Platinum is viewed as uncommon on Earth. In any case, the space rock belt in our close planetary system alone contains 1 billion times more platinum than is found here on Earth, and that is not in any event, including different assets. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.